extras. Were you in the company when the Sid scissors thing happened?
No, no, but I heard about it not long after. Friends were from over there were calling me, and the whole thing just seems so surreal that it would get to that. But Sid to me seemed to be a guy, good guy, but he doesn't seem like he really, like most of the guys in our business love the business, right? That's why we're in it. He always seemed to be somebody that might have watched it, sort of liked it, but would rather play softball, would rather do this, would rather do that. And there were times where you'd see him crack, like the infamous time at the Ramada in Atlanta, where he got into it with Brian Pillman and went and pulled the squeegee out. Just things like that. Where I don't want to make it sound like it's happening every day, but you were seeing like repeats of that stuff. So when I heard the story from England with the stabbing and the scissors and everything, I was floored. Like you're going to try to, this. I mean, both him and Arn, like, how did this happen? Like, what goes on? And I think it was, again, one of those things where you're not playing it trite because anytime people's lives are involved, but trying to understand it. Arn was one of those guys, not a jerk in any way, but he'd always have those Arnisms, right? Those little quips, that just sort of zing you a little bit and you chuckle and walk away. And I think somebody like Sid, if I could play psychoanalyst for a second, and he's never been a patient of mine, but I think he had thin skin in that respect. And I think he had a lot of pressure on him, right? This big, massive guy they're expecting to become this huge star. And I don't want to dig too deep and put words or thoughts to his character. He never seemed to me as somebody that loved the wrestling business. And I think because of that, a little thin-skinned, and again, a lot of pressure, I'm sure, on him, that looking back, in the thing with the squeegee, and there were other instances in the dressing rooms where people would confront him, that you get a guy that size, no matter whether they're a tough guy or not, sooner or later they're going to crack. And it certainly sounds like in that case they did. But yeah, it's, just again, like even like when you bring the story up as a question, you sit there and go like, how? Like, what would precipitate that? And pretty crazy.
Yeah, I said Sid Vader. Now, Vader was the person who stuck his finger in Arn's gaping scissor wound, apparently, to sort of stop the bleeding. So, thank goodness Vader wasn't squeamish.
Yeah. And I think Arn said to him, please don't let me die. I just can't, because I know these two guys so well, I can't put myself in that position. Like, what would be going through your head? He still had very young kids at home and things, and I'm sure you're thinking, at that moment, you don't know how bad these injuries are. Are you going to live or die? And I'm sure like those things, like, his son was at that time very, very young, and his kids, and a fairly young wife at home, a lot of responsibilities. The whole thing just seems like, in our business, because so much of it is created and acted out, that when you first hear that kind of a story, like I did from across the pond, you're thinking, okay, like, what's the angle to this? Like, what are they, why would they do something this stupid? And then in time you go, holy shit, it really happened. And then like the whole thing just goes like a Twilight Zone episode.
I'm sure you've seen Anchorman. The bit where they're all, after that giant brawl outside, about 16 of them, then they just sat in the office afterwards having a beer and went, that escalated quickly.
Yeah. Love Anchorman. Great movie.